uh, David and Goliath, Malcolm Gladwell. And Malcolm's main goal here is to provide his readers with a different perspective on obstacles that life may create in our lives. And he does this by using the biblical story of David and Goliath to basically support his evidence of different anecdotes he uses about underdogs and misfits and people who have taken their clear disadvantages in life and but made them just basically seen from a different perspective. They're actually advantages. His main argument is that no matter the size of the disadvantage, it could turn out to be a great advantage. And some people that he uses their story is, for example, David Boies. He was he grew up, he's been dyslexic his whole life, and all this did was just push him to try harder and find other ways to get around his disadvantage. And now he is ranked the number one lawyer in the world, actually. And he's dyslexic. Also, he includes Vivek Ranadive. He was an Indian guy who came to America, and he wanted to start his own girls basketball team, and he created a team using girls that basically didn't know how to play basketball, and they ended up ranking nationally. And it just comes to show how he uses this as his basis for everything. That's mainly what establishes the credibility. It ends up being the title of David and Goliath being a biblical reference. This establishes a level of people saying, okay, we know what that story is about, and we've, like, basically everybody knows about this story, and he's able to use that and build off of that and use real life examples. His intended audience would be people who feel like they don't fit in, or underdogs, or people, just basically people with huge disadvantages that when you look at it from one point of view, it seems as if there's no way around it, but he uses these examples to show that there are actually, when seen from a different perspective, they can be advantages. He appeals to the emotion of overcoming and that feeling of relief you get once you overcome a big obstacle in your life. And he did this by, for example, David Boies, or there was also this girl Caroline who wanted to, her dream school was Brown University, but as soon as she got there, it was affecting her negatively psychologically, and it ended up not being the best option for her, even though she was able to get in and attend there. She ended up transferring to University of Maryland, and that's where she prospered. Okay. The structure he chooses is one that I feel like is clear and concise, which goes, it's like a section by section order, and those section by sections are divided into parts that within those parts they have a story by story method, or structure, and each part being with a main a main theme, but throughout the whole book, the main all the anecdotes have the same underlying meaning of disadvantages actually being able to be advantages. Just like he uses the story of David in the beginning to show David's big disadvantage was that he was small compared to the giant Goliath, and everybody around him thought that he had no chance with him, but he showed that with his knowledge of being a shepherd and knowing how to throw stones, he was able to knock Goliath down. It may seem choppy to some extent, but eventually it goes tying everything back together to the same underlying meaning. He appeals to emotion. For example, on page 220, when he says imagine, he uses the word imagine a lot. For example, imagine that every summer U.S. Army veterans from the northern states paraded through the streets of Atlanta and Richmond to commemorate their long ago victory in the American Civil War. He uses this as like a way to allow us as Americans and readers to grasp the story of Rosemary Lawler, who he was explaining in one of his parts. And he also appeals to reasoning, like in page 23 when he says in one typical stretch in the spring of 1917, his men dynamited 60 rails and cut a telegraph line at Buar on March 24th, sabotaged a train and 25 rails at Abu al-Nam on March 25th, dynamited 15 rails and cut a telegraph line at Istanbul Antar on March 27th, raided. And all of this it appeals to reasoning in the sense of the reader being able to grasp a hold of what he's explaining. And yeah, his choices, his appeals, credibility,